Surrounded by Arizona's red-dusted desert sits a piece of property known as Coyote Pass, 33 acres that were meant to represent unity, trust, and a shared future together. But what started as the Browns' aspiration to construct side-by-side homes has become the most involved real estate controversy in the sister wives world. And this isn't tabloid gossip. The story sits inside real legal filings, public records, property deeds, and court-approved transfers. Today, we're asking the question fans have whispered for years: why did Kody and Robyn Brown quietly transfer sections of that land to Janelle and Meri? Was it generosity? Or legal pressure? For more than a decade, TLC cameras captured the Browns' journey: one man, four wives, one complicated family. But after all the years of divorces, separations, and financial stress, all that land of Coyote Pass was the last thread holding them together. Behind every on-screen smile, there was paperwork, mortgages, titles, and signatures. And within those pages was a secret no one anticipated. Let's rewind. The dream of Coyote Pass in 2018, TLC showed us the moment the Brown family bought the land. Then, Kody termed it the beginning of our forever. Both wives were promised each a parcel of her own. And the strategy was straightforward: sell their homes in Las Vegas, pay off the property, and construct 4 houses. But what actually happened, chronicled through county records, differed. The titles were disproportionate, the majority of the land appearing in Kody and Robyn's names, and Janelle and Meri possessing only fractions. Christine, prior to her departure, owned her share outright, then subsequently signed over her interest when she disposed of her Arizona estate and relocated to Utah. The imbalance did not appear pressing until the family began to break apart. The turning point: by 2021, tension had become public. Christine declared her departure, Janelle commented freely on financial disputes, and Meri conceded she had not shared an honest marriage with Kody in years. Only Robyn was still legally wedded to him, and legally bound to the property. Next was a subdued announcement picked up by internet detectives. County records indicated new deeds entered under the names Janelle Brown and Meri Brown, each of which gained particular parcels of the overall Coyote Pass parcel. They were signed by Kody W. Brown and Robyn Sullivan Brown, a mutual conveyance. No episode elucidated it. TLC didn't feature it. But the papers were genuine. So why did it occur? Tracing the paper trail, legal experts mention that where more than one person owns property as tenants in common, as in the case of the Browns, each of them has an undivided interest. If one owner is to depart from the association, or if there's a dispute about taxes or mortgages, it's usually wiser to redivide ownership through transfers. In this case, Kody and Robyn's names carried most of the liability. They also controlled the main mortgage. When Janelle and Meri began pursuing independence, lawyers would likely advise one thing: get your portion in writing. According to property experts interviewed by People and Distractify, formal transfers protect both sides. Janelle and Meri gain legal proof of equity, while Kody and Robyn reduce exposure to future lawsuits. But behind the law lay raw emotion. The wives' reckoning: picture your spiritual husband signing away a portion of what once was family land as a business transaction. For Meri, the first woman to enter plural marriage, that signature signaled an end. For Janelle, who had controlled much of the family's money for years, it was fair justice long overdue. And for Robyn, Kody's sole remaining legal wife, it was a reminder that love and law don't necessarily correlate. On the web, fans dubbed it the silent divorce settlement. In interviews, Janelle alluded to needing things settled. Meri posted cryptic quotes regarding closure. But Kody played down everything as just paperwork. But if only paperwork, why did it take 4 years? The solution could be in debt, valuation, and the fine print of the Coyote Pass loans. Every parcel was valued separately. Some had liens, others did not. Until those were cleared up, transfers couldn't happen. That lag created the veneer of peace on camera while legal teams worked behind the scenes to untangle chaos. What the court documents reveal: county documents, available to the public via Coconino County's land portal, record 2 significant filings made in late 2024. Both reports note warranty deeds conveying partial interest from Kody W. Brown and Robyn S. Brown to Janelle S. Brown and Meri C. Brown, respectively. Each deed was notarized, referencing equitable consideration, a term often used when no direct cash payment is involved, suggesting an internal family settlement rather than a sale. While there's no evidence of a courtroom battle between TLC and the wives themselves, insiders speculate the network monitored every move. A full property dispute could have halted filming or triggered contract renegotiations, something TLC wanted to avoid. So, was it legally required or a decision to produce? The reality may be both. Next, we'll examine the legal timeline, the Brown vs. Bowman ripple effect, and how Utah's and Arizona's property laws intermesh with reality TV contracts. Because the more you dig into those deeds, the more obvious it is, Coyote Pass was not dirt and desert, it was leverage. The web of law behind Coyote Pass to see how the Brown family dream house became a labyrinth of signatures and deeds. We have to return to the start, the documents that constructed Coyote Pass. When the land was bought, each lot had its own mortgage. That was sensible at the time. The family planned to consolidate later. But legally, it meant each name on a deed bore equal responsibility. If one mortgage payment floundered, the credit and equity of each co-owner hung in the balance. Initially, that didn't matter. The family's finances were communal, and the success of the show created stable income. But when relationships broke, the loans bound them together like chains made of air. By 2023, 3 of the 4 previous wives had publicly distanced themselves from Kody. Christine had already moved on, her package free. Janelle and Meri were still tied to the same property as Kody and Robyn, at least in theory. That is when the first behind-the-scenes consultations commenced. Money advisors, lawyers, and title experts joined the narrative. The objective: to unwind the land without incurring tax penalties or triggering breach of loan provisions. It's something that almost never occurs hastily, and seldom without drama. How the transfers were made: each transfer employed what's referred to as a warranty deed. That instrument doesn't merely transfer ownership. It guarantees that the grantors, here Kody and Robyn, had good title and the legal authority to convey. It also guarantees that there are no concealed liens. The use of the words, "for equitable consideration," in the filings indicates a non-monetary transaction, satisfaction of earlier rights or obligations. Attorneys who handle family real estate splits say this typically means one of 2 things: either payment for prior investments or a negotiated settlement to steer clear of courtrooms. In simpler words, everyone was going to leave with something, and nobody wanted to go to court. But the timing raised suspicions. Both deeds were filed within days of TLC's Season 19 production wrap. To analysts, that indicated coordination, maybe to close property status before signing new contracts. Neither TLC nor the Brown family publicly addressed any connection. Nevertheless, it's not uncommon for networks to demand clear rights when they shoot at privately held locations. Uncertainty regarding ownership might subject a production to liability. The financial undercurrent: property tax records indicate Coyote Pass had yearly burdens in excess of $4,000 per parcel. For decades, those taxes had been paid out of a combined family account. Following the splits, the situation became more ambiguous. Who pays taxes on jointly owned land when the family is no longer one entity? Emails subsequently quoted by fan sites refer to payment conflicts, but the only verifiable proof is the chain of liens, none of which went through to foreclosure. That implies someone continued paying, even amidst public acrimony. Real estate experts quoted by People called the transfers a way to square the books. Once Janelle and Meri had deeds in their own names, they could pay taxes for themselves and, if they wanted, sell or refinance their share separately. Behind the peaceful words of those filings lies years of emotional math, hours of haggling over who gave what, who did without, who was more deserving. Public reaction when fans spied the land records, speculation went into overdrive online. Was TLC forcing the transfers to keep filming clean? Were the wives threatening lawsuits? Or was this a discreet move by Kody to make amends? Those are all unanswerable questions, but they serve a pattern that viewers know. Each chapter of Sister Wives combines religion, love, and real estate in ways that push the boundaries of belief and law. The deeds didn't solve anything. They made its reality official. As one family friend explained to E! News, the land was supposed to hold their legacy. Now it's just dividing lines in the sand. The broader legal context: Arizona's property law, as opposed to Utah's, is relatively straightforward on co-ownership. If more than one person has title, any of them can require partition, forced division or sale, by way of civil court. Attorneys indicate that threat tends to force families to resolve matters privately before it gets to a judge. In the Brown case, private transfers had the same effect without courtroom flair. Each wife got documentation. Kody and Robyn reduced exposure. And the story could move forward, at least legally. But emotionally, it left questions hanging. If the land was always meant to unite them, what does it mean that it now separates them? The TLC connection and the emotional fallout: whenever the Sister Wives cameras roll, they catch shots of kitchens, porches, and expanses of desert road leading to Coyote Pass. But every visual that's broadcast on television goes through a long queue of legal clearances. Audiences witness a family. Attorneys notice locations, likeness rights, and broadcast releases. To shoot on private property, a production obtains location releases signed by all legal owners. Those agreements entitle the network, here, TLC, to record, edit, and release images of the property. Insurers won't greenlight the shoot if there's uncertainty around ownership. That puts the 2024 transfers in a new context. They provided clarity. Each signature created a line that would be understandable not only to the county clerk but also to a TV legal department. Filming for season 19 had ended before the deeds were recorded. Industry insiders comment that prior to any revival, a network conducts what's termed legal clearance, a contract review, releases, and possible liabilities. The timing of those filings is consistent with that model. It doesn't necessarily confirm that the transfers were requested by TLC, but it indicates the production needed the paperwork of the land clear if cameras were ever going to come back. There is no public declaration connecting the deeds to the program. Nevertheless, entertainment lawyers representing unscripted shows explain that this is common practice. If there are several parties with a claim to a filming location, the network likes to have every name on the deed sign off. If they're not going along, production goes somewhere else. That practical principle might account for why later episodes had fewer scenes of Coyote Pass and more in distinct homes spread throughout Arizona and Utah. The legal map was altered, and so was the story map. The human equation within the family, though, paper lines soon became emotional lines. For Janelle and Meri, possessing a deed meant autonomy, but also irreversibility. Land once symbolic of sisterly hope now bore their separate signatures, reminding them that oneness had been replaced by possession. In interviews, every wife explained it in a different way. Janelle referred to it as a practical move. Meri used the term closure. Kody invoked business logistics. Robyn said hardly anything. To the audience, those different tones were like four variations on the same finale. Clarity on the law created emotional space. Each transfer pulled one strand apart. For over a decade, the family's public image was held together by marriage licenses, shared assets, and a collective TV contract. By 2025, nearly every one of those was replaced by papers that wrote out separation, quietly, efficiently, forever. The broader lesson the Coyote Pass case demonstrates a lesser talked about aspect of reality television. When the narrative lives longer than the legal framework, the lawyers intervene to rewrite the real script. Property law, tax deadlines, and network responsibility create the unseen backbone under the show's sentiment. In the Brown family narrative, those systems merged at one point, 33 desert acres which originally embodied belief in the future. What remains now is paperwork, still legible in the public record, stamped and notaried. The signatures speak differently, of disentangling. Coyote Pass was going to put them all back together. Rather, it documented, in ink and deed, how far they'd already drifted apart. The public reaction and the future of the show. The initial rumors didn't originate in the press, they emerged from the fans. On Sister Wives discussion forums, screenshots of county record searches started to appear. Every line of text contained something tangible. Kody W. Brown and Robyn S. Brown as grantors, Janelle S. Brown and Meri C. Brown as grantees. No episode had spoken of it, yet the documents were available. In a matter of hours, hashtags emerged, hashtag Coyote Pass transfer, hashtag Brown Family Land, hashtag Sister Wives Truth. Fans compared legal documents, timelines, and interview quotes. For a culture used to breaking down emotions, the unexpected appearance of legal proof made them detectives. Some fans saw the actions as an act of justice, Kody and Robyn paying what was due. Others read it as retreat, a step taken due to legal or financial duress. Creators on YouTube and Reddit broke down every conceivable motive, tracing connections between seasons and signatures. Some overlaid satellite imagery of the parcels, drawing imaginary lines across the desert landscape. But as social media pursued rumor, serious analysts cautioned. Real estate lawyers quoted by entertainment media noted that transactions like these are usually administrative, not thrilling. A deed, said one attorney, is paperwork. Folks attribute emotion to it, but it's really housekeeping. But in a show based on relationships, even housekeeping becomes metaphorical. TLC kept mum. The network doesn't often discuss private legal issues involving its contestants, opting instead to let seasons stand on their own. When the new season of the show opened, narration casually referred to changes in family ownership. Even so, keen-eyed observers caught on that camera crews no longer shot on Coyote Pass. The desert stayed in the opening montage, but nobody walked the land again. That subtle change stoked another burst of speculation. Had TLC lost rights to film after the sales? Or had the network simply decided emotional healing was more important than real estate bureaucracy? Industry insiders believe it was both. With the ownership split, working out location releases would be expensive. It was simpler to track each wife separately, a stylistic choice which also rang true. The family that had previously shared a single address now occupied 4 different stories. The emotional echo public response ultimately came to a quieter place, a sort of group melancholy. For longtime viewers, the land had represented hope, a tangible location where harmony could be restored. When it was a series of deeds, that promise turned into documents. Interviews done months afterwards reflect the mood. Christine, who was remarried by this time, referred to Coyote Pass as a chapter closed. Janelle used the word lighter. Meri added, sometimes finality is peace. Kody, looking back in a confessional, confessed, the land was supposed to be the promise. Maybe it was just the test. Every remark, veritable and public, bore the same undertone. Coyote Pass no longer accommodated their future, merely their footprint. The future of sister wives with property issues settled and relationships legally separate. The question then became the show itself. Could sister wives survive with no shared domicile and no shared ambition? Television reviewers say that the show has increasingly shifted from a focus on recording plural marriage to a focus on recording its consequences. What started as an excursion into religion and family now serves as a study in self-reliance, recovery, and cause and effect. Executives at TLC have made no formal announcement of the show's conclusion. Viewership is still strong, fueled by speculation about what happens next. Spin-off rumors abound, a travel show starring Christine and her new husband. A business segment with Janelle, perhaps reflective interviews by Meri. Whether any of those shows come to pass, the brand has already moved. The narrative of sister wives is no longer polygamy. It's what happens when the structure falls apart. The court documents didn't simply alter who held the land. They closed one story and opened 4 others. Each of those signatures was a line that marked a boundary, but a starting point as well. On paper, they're lines of ink. In the public imagination, they're the last chapter of a family drama still being written in broad daylight. The cultural shift and closing reflection every TV generation leaves behind a mirror. In the later 2000s, Sister Wives showed America a vision of non-traditional family and faith that was not often seen on television. However, by the mid-2020s, that mirror had changed. What viewers saw was not plural harmony but its slow disintegration. And that transition, acted out in court documents, real estate deeds, and personal decisions, speaks as much about the culture as it does the Browns. When the series opened, polygamy itself was the news. Writers questioned whether it was legal, ethical, viable. The Brown versus Booman case even brought those questions before a federal court, where constitutional disputes over privacy and cohabitation ran up against centuries of marriage law. The case was thrown out on technical grounds, but its presence altered perception. Plural families could speak their own truth without fear of persecution. For a while, that was revolutionary. 15 years on, the risk of legal repercussions has passed, but the risk of emotional ones persists. The most profound discovery in the Coyote Pass section isn't one of land value or language and deeds, it's one of agency. Every woman, who was once a part of one man's vision, now has her own title, literally and metaphorically. Legally, property rights substituted for spiritual ties. Culturally, autonomy substituted for conformity. Scholars of reality television observe this as a broader trend. The show starts with spectacle and culminates with self-definition. Audiences watch for confrontation but remain for change. Sister Wives trace that trajectory to perfection, from group cohesion to personal freedom. But there's a second aspect to the narrative, how reality television condenses rich lives into bite-sized episodes. The very cameras that showed the building of the family captured its dismantling as well. The legal simplicity of those transactions works in contrast to the emotional complexity the show feeds on. Viewers experience resolution. The players experience consequence. TLC, on its part, now stages the Brown saga as both entertainment and records. Segments cite court orders, home settlements, and public records because these are verifiable. They base the emotion in fact. That intersection, law-intersecting narrative, has become a signature of contemporary unscripted narrative. A broader reflection, the Coyote Pass result speaks more than to one family. Nationwide, questions regarding joint property, merged households, and individual sovereignty resonate differently. The Brown story demonstrates how rapidly ideals can crash into the bureaucratic reality of mortgages, taxes, and legal status. Former cast members describe the desert in interviews as quiet. That silence now seems symbolic. The sound of a narrative ending not with a last argument, but with acceptance. When historians reflect on Sister Wives, they might not point to the scandals or the Nielsen numbers. They'll observe that a show about one man and 4 wives evolved, in its latter seasons, into an exploration of choice, legal, emotional, and moral. The signings at Coyote Pass were not just bureaucratic gestures. They were affirmations of selfhood, affixed in ink and dated by time. And so, the question that opened this investigation, why did Kody and Robyn transfer the land, finds its simplest answer, because every story, even a televised one, must eventually decide who owns its ending. If you've followed the Browns' journey, you've watched a cultural experiment evolve into a lesson about family, law, and the cost of freedom. The deeds on Coyote Pass are not merely court documents, they're a map of how far everyone came to stake their own land. If you found this analysis helpful, hit like so others can view it, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe for additional in-depth documentaries into reality TV's most twisted cases. Each signature, each decision, creates a trail. And together we'll continue to follow it. If you're hooked by the secrets we just uncovered, then don't stop here, smash that like button to push this story out to more Sister Wives fans. Drop a comment below and tell me whose side you're on. Christine, Robyn, Kody, Meri or Janelle. Because I read every single one. And if you don't want to miss the next shocking twist, hit subscribe right now. Tap that bell icon so you're first to know when the next hidden truth drops. And join our community as we expose the drama that TLC doesn't want you to see.